I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for women. We've got a great question that came up spontaneous, and this is what I'm known for is my spontaneity. And so we're just doing a spontaneous podcast here. So Nora asked, go ahead, Nora.
Like when you're on podcasts or when you're talking to clients, and for us being women and talking to men, if you know you can move men, and obviously you want to do that because you're in sales, you want to move them. But
Right?
where's the boundary line? To where you don't move them more than you want to move them, but move them enough to where you get the sale.
Okay. So every man's different, right?
Right.
Katrina,
I mean,
give me some
in
affirmation.
in some ways not.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. And so if you go to a client, so you got to consider the man. You got to consider the man because, what Katrina's saying is wise. They're all men, and so, but if somebody is like, if somebody is giving you a birthday gift and writing you
On
notes,
track.
what's that?
I said stay on track.
Well, that's what we're talking about as men.
Okay.
You not remember the birthday gift from Steven?
Good Lord.
So, once I was out in Northern California, we were at the airport, and so Natalie and I were there. So she was in her 20s, very double expressive, so super outgoing and bubbly and very attractive. And we're walking, and all of a sudden, some guy walks up to her and says, "Hey, here's my business card. If you're ever interested in modeling, if you're ever interested in modeling, give me a call." And I'm like, what just happened? Like, this is just, and she was polite. She wasn't rude or anything. She was just like, okay, thank you. And then he walked away, and then she pitched his thing in the garbage. And I'm just like, what just happened? It's like it happens all the time to her. She's like, oh, he doesn't know me. He just, it's just this and this. And so she just, I don't know, she was polite with him and nice to him. And so,
Okay,
Mark,
so
are you saying, Mark, that with some we just can't even walk around? Right?
see,
You got to have a has-been suit.
he wasn't even a client.
No, he's just in the
That's
airport.
what I'm saying. And I wasn't trying to move him. And the
Right.
gift, guess where it ended up? So, like, I was polite. I said thank you and then went home and took care of it.
Right.
So I wasn't even trying to move him.
Right. And so understanding, and this is what's hard, this is why we have the podcast for women. Women don't understand men. They don't. And so, that's why we kept this to this. I've never heard, I'm not saying it's not true and it hasn't happened. Okay. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I'm just saying that I've never heard of it happening where a woman's committed suicide because of a breakup with a guy. Again, maybe women that have had that happen. I don't know of any woman. I've never even heard of a woman committing suicide because of a breakup with a man. Now, I think that sometimes they may murder the man for breaking up with them, but they don't commit suicide. But I can't tell you how many young men have committed suicide after a breakup with a girl. So you tell me, like, who's got, I don't know, more power, and with power comes responsibility. And so it's hard. I don't know because I've never been a woman, but I have a wife and I have 4 daughters. And so I have empathy for women, a lot of empathy. It's like on how, and so men, if you smile at them, literally, they might think you're interested in dating them. You just smile. You're just friendly and nice. And so,
How are you able to tell before?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
So I don't, there's a woman's intuition that could potentially tell. Oh, Elaine might actually know that. She can go ahead and walk into a store and she can just, based on energy of a man, she can say that man's trouble. She just feels the energy. So theoretically, there's something about a man's energy that you can go ahead and potentially tell.
Is that the same with like voices over the phone, just like phone
Yeah.
calls?
Theoretically, they're called micro expressions. And so this is on it all happens on the subconscious level. So you guys would never do this to me, but a lot of people mock me for reading the subconscious. But I know you guys wouldn't do that because that wouldn't be nice. And so, um, and so, but in Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink, he talks about micro expressions. And so, micro expressions, they've done studies on this with small babies. And I don't know what it is, day, 2 days, 3 days old, a baby can go ahead and pick up stuff about people that's insane. So if you search, and so women, um, they all like attention. They just do. And the women who say they don't like attention, they typically, in my experience, like attention more than the ones that acknowledge they like attention. It's wired in them. I don't know why. Talk to God about that. Like, I don't know. Like, God created them. I did not. Don't understand it. It's a mystery. Probably even to God. Like, he's like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like,
Probably because they don't get enough. I'm just saying.
yeah. If you've ever seen, little 2, 3 year old girls,
Yeah, they
it's like
definitely get enough.
it's a black hole. Like, you cannot give them enough. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, no, it's addictive, and the more they get, the more they want. And so there was a point that I was going to make as well in addition to that. The personalities, this is the mental health stuff. So each of the four, and then the inner quadrant, borderline personality disorder, these are the disorders that typically go with the different personalities. When I showed this to Tom Kuntz, he's like, dang, I got all of those. so so with this, there's an opposite of each of these as well. And so there's when you look at this, people think of this as negative. They think of it as negative, but but with every mental disorder, there's also a mental strength. And so with each of these, there's a strength that goes along with it. Each of the different personalities, and so understanding this is going to be important because it's what we say in the personalities. Our greatest strength is our greatest weakness, and our greatest weakness is just our greatest strength misapplied. And so I think it's for a woman, she can give energy. I mean, she can give energy. So that's not necessarily bad. I mean, it can be good. And so her being aware of what it does. And so, like, I don't think when Nora said what she did about Luke, I don't think she realized the impact it was going to have on me. Pretty sure. When,
No, I didn't.
yeah, when Katrina said what she did about David, I don't think she thought she would go ahead and have the impact on me that she did. And so I think a lot of times women dismiss their power. Like, I remember when I was 24 years old, and Betty Clark, I remember she was in her 50s, and I was struggling in sales. And where I remember exactly, I could go to that office. I could go to that office today, over 30 years later. I could go to that office, stand exactly where I was standing. And it was a tough time, not doing that well, not making much money. And she went ahead and said to me, and she said, Mark, you're going to be very successful in this company. And I'm like, really? She's like, oh, yeah, you will. And I'm like, why? She says, I can just tell. So here's a 24-year-old guy. He's working his tail off. He's not seeing results, and he's not seeing success. And here's this 50+ year old woman that goes ahead and she's nice to him. She's like kind to him. She's like, she speaks, and it's like, and she was sincere. I mean, and she could see something. She could see something, and so she said it, and that gave me tremendous, and I've never forgotten it. And so,
do you think that's true with all men, or is that different with personalities then too?
I don't know, honestly. I wonder, like my mom, my mom did not give, like, I adore my mom, just absolutely revere her, just think she's the best woman in the world. She is just amazing. But she did not give hugs and kisses. She was not physically attentive. She was not, that I remember. Maybe when I was a little boy, maybe she did, but I don't remember affection. I don't remember physical affection and loves and touch and hugs and encouragement. She wasn't that type of a woman. And I always thought, well, it's because probably her mom died when she was 12. That's pretty brutal. And then she had a evil stepmother that came in and tried to choke her to death when she's like 13. And so she went through a pretty tough childhood. So I always thought, well, that's just what it is. It's no big deal. But loved her to pieces. Meant the world to me. And so I don't know. I wonder if those kind of men that didn't have that kind of stuff growing up as a little boy, if they're more appreciative of it because they just didn't have it. On the plus side, I don't think I need it. I like it, want it. It means a lot to me, but didn't have it. It's life. It's what it is. So I think it's different, Nora, with different men, but I think the core principles, are very, very similar. And so I think that a lot of times, like with my girls, when they went from girls to, women. So when they're little girls, you wrestle with them and you just tickle them and you just give them tons of attention, and it's all good. It should be like, you're not stupid. But when they turn into women, all of a sudden they're women. And so you can't go ahead and wrestle with them the same way. But I think they may need attention more than they've ever needed attention. But a dad's got to be more careful. He's got to be sensitive to that. But I remember when they were wearing stuff and there were tough stuff like, wow, that's very pretty. And it's pretty, it's sexual, but it's not bad. But then there's other times where it's like, yeah, no, that's that's way too much. And I would say to them, I'd say, you know what, girls, what you're wearing right now, like your dad's going to have he's a man, he sees, and what you're wearing right now, it's going to give him challenges. And they'd be like, ooh, like, I'm just telling you, men, they're wired to do that. So you want to be considerate of that, because even good men, they're going to fight that temptation. Like there's going to be the temptation. There's going to be that. And so, but, my youngest daughter, a few years ago, she was, went through therapy, and I told her that, but I wasn't good at communicating. And she said her therapist helped her work through it. She thought when I was saying that to her, she thought that I was saying that she was ugly, which is the opposite. No, you're not ugly. I just want your husband to be one to enjoy this. And so I somehow failed as a dad to communicate that. So I think that I don't think there's enough honest conversations about things. And so I think it's hard for a woman. I think it's hard for a woman to understand. And men, I think in their 50s are maybe potentially 50s are maybe 40s, mid 40s, late 50s are especially vulnerable. If they've worked really hard, they've been good husbands, good fathers. Maybe their wife's not as appreciative as she used to be when younger, maybe none of their kids. And he's like, I'm working hard. I'm doing all this stuff and nobody's giving me, like, nobody's saying nice things. And then all of a sudden somebody comes along and says, hey, you're amazing. They see him. He really is amazing. I mean, he's learned and worked hard and all this kind of stuff. And then there's an emotional connection. And that's not necessarily wrong, but it can be, it can move into things. So I think there's multiple conversations on this. I'm pretty comfortable being married 41 years and having 4 adult daughters, having a lot of women. So I'm fairly comfortable doing this, but there's still some discomfort. It's like, I don't want to say something inappropriate. I don't want to, but it's almost like with women, it seems to me, as a dad, as a husband and a father, and now a grandfather, it almost seems like I have to say something inappropriate for women to get it. And it's like, it just, and so I think being aware of it, I think being conscientious of it, I think being considerate of it and say, hey, I need to be aware of it, but it's, so I don't know if that helps, Nora.
Yeah.
So, Katrina, questions that you have?
No, I don't think so.
So I think these conversations are good. I think it's good to put certain parameters, certain rules in place and try to follow those rules as much as you can. I think it was one of the vice presidents of the United States. He had a rule that he wouldn't travel in a car. He wouldn't be alone with a woman. And the press really pounded him for that, which is fascinating because he's trying to put protection in place for his marriage himself and women around him. He's trying to do these things, and the press is pounding him for that. So hopefully this is helpful. Definitely do reflections and then have honest conversations, especially, with other women, and listen, because I think it'll be helpful. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.